FPL players to target ahead of game week 22. Let's jump straight into it. Gabriel, at the moment, he looks like a really solid option. His ownership has actually gone above 30%. So after he returned from injury, he has looked really good, and he will most probably play most minutes for Arsenal coming up. He has an expected goal of 0.81. He's a big threat at set pieces. He can pick up defensive contributions, and as we saw against Liverpool in game week 21, Arsenal, they can keep a clean sheet against anyone. So 6 points from Gabriel in game week 21 against Liverpool. This was close to being counted as a blank for Gabriel and his standard. So 6 points is of course a decent return from any defender, but we are actually used to Gabriel getting more points than this. So even though he's quite expensive at the moment, his price has gone up to 6.7. I still think that Gabriel is a really good buy. I will take a look at how to possibly bring Gabriel into my team as well, but we'll take a look at this later. The next player is Cash. I think that Aston Villa, they have gone a bit under the radar so far this season. They are top 3, they have looked good defensively, and at the moment they are actually one of the most informed teams in the league. Cash, he looks to be nailed on. He can contribute with assists, so he has a lot of routes to points. He hasn't really picked up defensive contributions that many times, but considering that he is a big threat when it comes to assists, I think that he is a solid option at the moment. Only priced at 4.8, and Aston Villa, they have some good fixtures coming up, so Cash, definitely one to consider. Chalobah as well, a solid option, and Chelsea, they have some really good upcoming fixtures, playing at home against Brentford, Crystal Palace away, and then West Ham at home. We could argue that actually playing against Brentford these days is not a really good fixture for any defender because of the informed Igor Thiago, but if they can keep a clean sheet, I think that Chalobah potentially can get bonus and defensive contribution points. We have seen this with Chalobah in the tougher games when Chelsea, when they surprisingly keep clean sheets. Chalobah, he is usually one of their standout players. Another option, of course, and especially for those on free hit, I think that the fixture in game week 22 looks really good for Newcastle, playing at home against Wolves. The reason why I'm not really sure if I will bring in Lewis Hall for my own FPL team is the fact that Newcastle, they actually have a couple of tough fixtures coming up. So in game week 23, playing against inform Aston Villa, and in game week 24 as well, they play away at Anfield against Liverpool. Are these really good fixtures for defensive assets from Newcastle? I'm not really sure, even though Lewis Hall, he has actually the best expected goal involvement out of the 3, sitting at 0.93. So he can pick up attacking returns, of course, but on this list, my first priority is definitely to bring in Gabriel. But let's take a look at some other options in midfield. In midfield, we have some really interesting options at the moment. Rice, he's only owned by 26.5% of the managers. I actually thought his ownership had gone past 30% at this point, but 26.5, so it's still time to bring in Rice. So priced at 7.3, a decent price for Rice. He can score goals. We saw this in game week 20. He can pick up defensive contributions, and he is on set pieces for Arsenal as well, so he can get assists as well. The fixtures look decent for Arsenal going forward. They play away against Nottingham Forest, then they have United at home before they play away against Leeds. So it's definitely not too late to bring in Rice. So if you need a new midfielder, I would really consider bringing him in. The next player is Cole Palmer. We know about his potential. He hasn't really delivered recently. 10.4. It's only owned by 12.5% of the managers, so he is actually a differential at the moment. Chelsea, I talked about their fixtures, really good fixtures for Chelsea's attacking assets, playing at home against Brentford, then they have Crystal Palace away, and then West Ham at home. So if you need an explosive asset at the moment, and if you have some funds in the bank, Cole Palmer is definitely one to consider. The last player is more budget-friendly, Garner from Everton. He's on some set pieces for Everton. He has actually gone a bit under the radar so far this season. He has picked up points consistently and only priced at 5.1. I think that if you need a cheap midfielder at the moment, I think that Garner definitely is the best option. So away against Aston Villa, probably not the best picture for Everton in game week 22, but then they have Leeds at home and Brighton away. He's only selected by 3.5% of the managers, so he is a big differential. We can see in the stats as well, expected goal involvement for Garner is actually 1.59, which is better than Rice and Cole Palmer. Thanks for watching. Please consider giving this video a like, and if you enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel. I have weekly Q&As, usually the night before the deadline. I post weekly videos as well, and I have deadline streams on the actual deadline. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel. As mentioned, there are some interesting midfielders. Bruno Fernandes, I have seen that he is one of the most transferred in players ahead of game week 22. He's back, he has been injured, but he played in game week 21. So a lot of FPL managers are turning to Bruno Fernandes at the moment. My advice would be to actually wait a couple of game weeks. I don't really like the fixtures for Man United in the next couple of game weeks. They play against Man City in game week 22, and then they play away against Arsenal in game week 23. So I think that's the entry point for Bruno Fernandes probably is in game week 24, when they have a good fixture at home against Fulham. So I will talk about my transfer plans at the end of the video, but it looks likely that Enzo Fernandez actually might join my team. Good fixtures as mentioned: Brentford, Crystal Palace, West Ham, and he has an expected goal involvement of 2.66. So compared to Cole Palmer, he is more budget friendly. So Enzo Fernandez, he might be transfer in for me this game week. The last player is more of a punt, but he looked lively in game week 21. He is a really consistent performer for Bournemouth, and we know that Semenyo, he has left Bournemouth to play for Man City, and the fact that Kluivert is injured, I think that Tavernier is close to being a talisman for Bournemouth at the moment. So taking most set pieces, most probably including penalties as well. So only priced at 5.5. I think that Tavernier is a really good punt at the moment. So a lot of good picks in midfield. Up front, not that many options in my opinion. We have Watkins. He has delivered recently. He will play at home against Everton. This could be a good fixture for Aston Villa. Then they have Newcastle away and Brentford at home. So really good stats. Solid performances from Watkins recently. Expected goal of 3.87. So if you have the funds, I definitely think that Watkins is a good option going forward. Jared Bowen as well, he hasn't delivered. The fixtures, they are still good for West Ham, but can we really trust West Ham as a team? I'm not really sure. My favorite between them would definitely be Watkins. So, as mentioned, not that many good forward options at the moment. Igor Thiago, of course, if you don't have him, he could be a good option, but the fixtures, they're not the best for Brentford going forward. So my advice is actually to, if you need to do something with your team structure, go for a 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2. And fodder that looks really interesting at the moment is actually Mane from Wolverhampton, 4.5. He has scored a couple of goals recently, so he could be a really good option to have on the bench. Hopefully you will not need your fodder every game week, because Wolverhampton, they don't have the best fixtures, as we can see in the graphics, in game week 22 playing against Newcastle, and then they have Man City away before they play at home against Bournemouth. So I'm actually will look at the possibilities to change my team structure and go 2 up front, because there are really good midfielders available at the moment. So please let me know in the comments down below what you think of this watch list, and let me know if I missed any good options for game week 22. So my transfer plans have actually changed a bit. The plan was always to bring in Gabriel. So Dorgu, he was just a short-term punt, so he will be gone. I actually plan to sell Igor Thiago as well, and the last player to be able to bring in another Arsenal player had to sell Saka. So the plan was actually to bring in, as mentioned, Gabriel. Up front, I would actually go for, to afford this, I had to go for the cheapest available player in FPL at the moment, Barnes from Burnley. Up front is only priced at 4.2. So if you need a fodder, I think that going for Barnes is a good idea at the moment. I have talked about there are a lot of interesting midfield options, but up front there aren't that many players to pick from. So I was really tempted by going for something like this, and this will give me enough to bring in Cole Palmer in midfield. So I have 3 free transfers available, and the plan was actually to do this. But seeing that Igor Thiago, he has actually delivered so good recently, so I'm tempted to just keep Igor Thiago in my team. My current plan ahead of game week 22 is actually to do something like this: Saka out to bring in Enzo Fernandes. This will give me enough funds to do Dorgu to Gabriel. So these are my transfer plans ahead of game week 22. Sell Dorgu, sell Saka to bring in Enzo Fernandes and Gabriel. I will give another update ahead of game week 22 as well in my weekly team selection video. So if you want to watch that one, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Please consider giving this video a like. That would be really, really appreciated.